it's not. So I just,
Okay, thank you. Appreciate it.
so
I really need to record yet.
Oh, well, I tried it and okay, I'll pause it. Tell you what.
We can go to our public hearings. So, welcome everyone to this prelude to the second monthly meeting of the Danby TownBoard for the month of June 2022. It is preceded by 3 public hearings, the first of which is with the proposal to adopt a New York Stretch Energy Code. And I would be happy to hear comments from anyone who is here who would like to speak to that. Ted.
Well, no one else has anything to say. Thank you. I'm really just going to summarize what I said during the previous public hearing, which I think was during last meeting. The point of the stretch provisions is basically to advance the schedule for requiring improved energy efficiency in housing. And I think that's a great idea. It's going to cost a bit more now, but the return on investment is very quick. And within a few years, everyone who does do improved insulation and other energy efficiencies is going to come out ahead. So I think for that reason, it's a great idea. There may be little sticky points, but overall, it's a great idea. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else would like to speak to the Stretch Energy Code question? I'm not seeing any, so why don't we close that public hearing and move on to the next? The second one is the proposed change in the dog law of 2011. This would delete 3 words from the existing law under voice control. Essentially broadening the options for control, but emphasizing that a dog has to be under the owner's control whenever it's off property. Is there anyone who'd like to speak to that? Ted.
You're muted.
Sometimes I feel a little bit awkward that I'm the only person who raises a hand, but I think that the wording that you have proposed this time is better than the wording I expected to see last time. It basically puts the onus on the dog handler and whatnot. The concern I might express is that effectively it is saying you put your dog on a leash or you are liable, which doesn't actually make me feel uncomfortable in general. If I had a dog and I was out in public, I'd probably put it on a leash. On my own property, I don't know about that. If I went for a walk in the park with the dog, I don't know about that. And I'm just wondering how this would have a dampening effect on dog owners and whether they will feel comfortable leashing their dog everywhere. I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm just saying, that's something to consider. Thanks.
Thank you. Anyone else want to comment on the dog law proposed change?
As a citizen, I agree with what Ted said. It's uncomfortable for a lot of dog owners on their own property and in parks. There are people who go to the Danby Park with their dogs for playing disc golf, et cetera, et cetera.
Mm-hmm. Anyone else? Okay, so why don't we close that public hearing? The third one is for the Raven Catch conservation easement. This conservation easement is proposed to be donated to the town by Tyler Stein and his wife, Brittany Legale. It's for about a 24-acre property on Heisey Road, which adjoins state forest land and includes part of a unique natural area. It has every possible kind of zone within it. In our template, an environmental protection zone for the UNA portion, restricted forest areas, ag and forest zone, and a residential and active use zone where the residents and associated activities will be located. Does anyone have any comment on that one? What do you know? Okay, well, let's close that public hearing and call the meeting to order at 6:07. There are several proposed additions to the agenda. I propose that we deal with all of them at the head of business. The proposal for monument cleaning by Danny Wheeler, the budget transfer resolution that will close out the books for 2021. Proposed amendment to the conservation easement template and an agreement to spend funds requests, next installment from highway. Are there other additions or deletions? Sarah looks like she's studying the agenda intently. Just
Looking at something else.
oh,
But I have no problem with putting them in at the beginning of business.
Does that mean we wouldn't be able to make comments if they come before the privilege of the floor?
It won't
No,
come
no,
before
it's-
privilege of the floor. It'll just be the beginning of our normal business stuff
Right,
rather than
it's-
at the end of the meeting.
right.
Okay.
It'll be essentially preceding 9.1 on the agenda. Okay, so if there are no other changes, then in fact, Rhonda, this is privilege of the floor time. And if you'd like to address the board, be happy to hear from you.
Okay, I'd like to make a comment about the proposed monument cleaning by Danny Wheeler. So I was at the event on May 31st at the monument.
Mhm.
And I think it was Danny Wheeler who offered to clean the monument. And he said, "This is granite." And I looked at it and I thought, no, this is limestone.
Yeah, or marble. Yeah.
But I don't really, I lived in Paris where all the buildings are built of limestone and it's called Paris limestone. And
Mhm.
it comes from around Paris. But anyway, I'm not an expert on stone and the care and cleaning of stone. And I would just ask that if the town I didn't really feel that it needed to be cleaned, but if the town felt that it needed to be cleaned, I would request that they get a second opinion.
About whether to clean it or how to clean
We
it.
only have that one monument, and if something happens to it, then it would be very costly to replace it. And I think people wouldn't be happy that something had happened to it. So I just would like you to do due diligence if you feel it does need to be cleaned by maybe getting a number of people to come out and take a look at it and make opinions. And I think that's the only thing about which I have anything to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else on the privilege of the floor? Ted?
Sure, thanks. Let me just pop up the agenda so I can see it. Also about Danny, I think Rhonda had some reasonable points, but I'd like to say that, this isn't the first time that Danny has offered to do the job. And basically, he's a very conscientious guy. He has cleaned other monuments. He can speak, I see he's here. Hi, Danny. I'm sure he can speak to his qualifications and to what he would do and how he would do it. And if it remains the same as before, he'll do it for free. So this is a very generous offer that I hope you do something about. Budget Item 3.2, budget transfer resolution. There's a rather amusing document linked from it, which says almost nothing except that there's an attached document which has all the details, but there is no attached document. So I'm sure that you'll be able to put that online or display it during the meeting.
That's an oversight.
But of course, the bit about commercial zone C, I took a look at the map. And, you know, for the most part, this is a no-brainer, but I will observe that there are a number, these parcels are very widely scattered, and some of them are in places, I'm thinking of one that's down toward Jennings Pond, where I'm not sure we want to go make any move from your basic residential. And I think you should consider each of the parcels independently and see whether all of them seem to make sense to you. Other than that, I already mentioned the dog line. That's the agenda. Thank you.
Okay.
Danny, hi.
And I see Gary's here with his hand up. Gary,
Yeah, I have some news from
You are.
the court system. We had a meeting last Friday, and as of last Thursday, all the COVID rules have been lifted in the courts. No more mask requirements, no more social distancing. If the courts want to take down their plexiglass, they can, or they can leave them up. It's at their discretion.
Mhm.
And I also found out of the 10 counties that make up the 10 judicial districts, Danby is one of the few that still are asking people to wear masks when they come into the town halls. That's just what we were told.
Mhm.
So that's what the new rules are for the courts. That's all state courts.
yeah, good, thanks. We don't have it on the agenda to revisit the level of operation. So perhaps we should, but yes. Because we did say we would do it regularly. Can we perhaps add that to the end of the agenda? Anyone else with privilege of the floor? Okay. Is there any correspondence, Janice?
Excuse me, just for 1 second. I'm sorry, but I'm on the phone with Danny and he can't hear anything we're saying and I'm trying to help him. Janice, can maybe you help him a little bit? He trying to think what he didn't on when you sign in, Danny, he can't hear us. He can hear me on the phone. You have to press the enable audio. Did you do that? Can he do it now that he's already in here?
He
yeah,
should be able to change his speakers so next to them, like the mute button, there's a little arrow. If he clicks that arrow, it should open up a list of different speakers you can choose.
Okay,
Unless
did
his
you hear
computer
that,
doesn't
Danny?
have.
That next down at the bottom where the mute button is, there's a caret, a little arrow.
Left hand bottom.
Bottom
Down at
left
the-
hand.
You see that little speaker, the little microphone? Let's see.
he can also call in from his phone to the number.
Can
Right.
you hear Janice on my phone saying you can call in on the telephone? Maybe just go out and try and come back in. And there's a place where it asks if you want to join audio. You have to say yes.
Okay, I'll try that. Thank you.
Okay.
And I don't believe there are any announcements. Dan Klein emailed to tell us that he couldn't be here in person, but he did submit his report in writing, pointing out a couple of relevant items. And I spoke with Laura, who told me that Jack would be here, but he's not. I don't see that he is, to give us an update on what Highway is up to. Perhaps they didn't anticipate that the public hearings would go so swiftly. So maybe we can come back to that. The next item is the consent agenda. Do we have the warrants straightened out? There are a couple of points that Leslie noticed some inconsistencies between the account numbers and the vouchers versus on the abstract.
No, they've all been fixed.
Okay. Are the totals correct?
They weren't different like half an hour ago.
You might need to refresh your browser.
Half an hour ago.
Because
I mean, I went on and,
I did it hours ago.
oh, then, no.
It's because your cookies on your computer sometimes make it so it doesn't refresh things all the time. But yeah,
I mean, I did see where, from when I printed off the abstract, that the total amount that, you know, the 914 had been changed to 846. I did see that change. And I saw a couple other changes, but I didn't see probably at least half of the account numbers.
They were all changed.
Okay.
I don't know if Sarah, do you want to share your screen, or do you want me to?
of which one? Just like the abstract?
Yeah.
If you give me permission to do that. Yeah.
Whoops. Okay,
There we go. Here's, oh, let me move your faces. There we go. Okay. So this is general fund. I'm gonna try and fit as much on there as possible. Well, actually, you can see the total at the top there. I don't know why I pointed at the computer. You can't see my hand.
Yeah, so Leslie, you had mentioned 178 was missing the hazmat fee, which I fixed. And then
The hazmat fee, the hazmat fee, which was $2.20,
Yeah.
which needed to be added back in.
Yep.
Okay. So
that
then,
brought it to 16.
and then there were taxes on 185.
185. I took
That's the
out,
credit card bill. Yeah.
yeah, I took out the Home Depot tax. That was the only one I could find.
There was one in the 1619, there was a tax on that bill.
No, that one doesn't actually have tax because it was it's the Adobe.
I didn't catch that. I remember looking at the credit card bill.
I see $1.20. You're right.
Okay, so
Okay, I'll take off the $1.20.
okay, let me just. And then, okay,
David,
and you changed the other one.
contact Adobe for that.
185, 26, okay. And then,
Just let me know if you want me to scroll.
no, yeah. That 2405.33, I don't know what that means. That's not a number
Where's that?
means anything. Right below, right at the last line of the 185.
185.
Whatever it is, I don't think.
Wait,
2405.33. That was the entire amount
oh, wait,
that was
wait.
to be
wait.
paid for the credit card.
Right.
Oh, okay. That's wrong. Because now you've taken tax out of both the other two lines.
Yep.
So, I just think it needs to get redone. 185, 1620.4, I think. I don't know.
36.
That second account number on that, the 162.40 I
Mhm.
think this should be a 1620.5.
It's
Which
not a
one?
contractual line.
The second line, the 124.99, that account number, I think it should be a 0.5, not 0.4. That's my, that was what
Was
I,
that
but let me check.
somebody's time?
No, it's postage.
Yeah, that should go under a 0.4, which is a contractual line.
Well,
If it's postage, that's correct.
okay, I'm, it, I didn't make the numbers up. There was something wrong with that line, and I don't know whether it was because it didn't match the voucher or something. I'm trying to look, let's see, 181. 181.
I see where it's off in the voucher.
Let's see, the 190. That voucher number on 190 is not the same that's on the voucher. So a lot of the numbers aren't.
No, the voucher on 190 was fixed. 190.
What?
The voucher 190 is fixed. It's 1620.4.
That's the number I've got on my printout.
Yeah.
That is different than what's on the voucher.
No, that is on the voucher. 1620.4 is on the voucher. And 1620.4 is
Okay, then
on
it got changed on the voucher since I
on
looked.
the abstract.
Let's see, 188. I
That
think
could be.
that. 1650.40. When I looked at it, it was that number was different, as was the number above it.
And that's why I said is that I changed it hours ago.
She fixed it. Yeah.
Couldn't have, I mean, I was still working on these less than 2 hours ago, so.
Yeah, but if you don't refresh your page, it's not
I
gonna
I
automatically.
can't, I understand, and I know that this is not an easy thing to put together, but to get it, in 2 hours before the meeting, when it takes, I sit down, it takes me an hour and a half to go through these, and I don't want to start at 4 o'clock.
I sent it at like 7 o'clock this morning.
Well, yeah, of course,
I have
should
a
have been
printout that I
7
printed
o'clock
out.
yesterday morning, but
Less than 3 hours, about 3 hours ago, so I don't
I mean,
No.
that's a good
I don't
12
want
hours.
to get in an argument about it. It's just, I don't feel comfortable. And the total is not right. I can't.
well, we want to get the total right for sure.
Hmm?
But did we identify any numbers that were wrong other than the
$1.20 tax on,
$1.20 tax and
that's all we've said so far.
Yeah,
So we can reduce that total by $1.20.
I'm not gonna-
Yeah, I looked in about 4 o'clock and I found all of the matching and I did not catch the tax.
okay, that's reassuring.
one thing I did have a question about was which ones of these needed to get multiple quotes and things like that, since going over the things with the auditors. I'd
Mhm.
assume health insurance doesn't have to.
Right, 'cause that's a regular thing.
The credit card, I'd assume doesn't, because it's a lot of smaller purchases that are different things.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And I'd assume the newsletter also doesn't. I don't know how that works. I guess that's not really a purchase contract.
Right, and that's made up of a lot of small things
Yeah, that's true, yeah.
together.
And there was
And
one on
then-
the highway that it was actually listed.
One in the highway,
It was
the
an
pipe.
OGS contract or
pipe.
pricing.
But then the Teledare, the security system would need multiple quotes. I'd assume Sunvestment doesn't, because that was a bigger contract
Right,
as
been
well.
longstanding.
Yeah.
Well, although with the Teledare, it's something that we already have, so it's just making a change in what's already there. So would that necessitate getting multiple quotes to redo a system?
I would assume so, because you would want to have multiple quotes for somebody who is going to show up and like change around a bunch of lights too, but we had lights, so it's like,
Actually, David McDermott did do a lot of pricing on all of that. He spent quite a bit of time doing that. He and Steve, I believe, were involved doing that.
we're just technically supposed to see 2 quotes, I believe, if we're trying to follow our own procurement policy.
Yeah, I think
Anything
all
over
we did was-
1,500.
Yeah, sometimes, we do. these
Also,
things, but they don't-
the
they don't-
amount on the invoice was like, this dollar value wasn't even on there. So I was super confused.
It was you
Right.
pay half down, you have to pay half down, half for the contract amount for them to get started with the project. From
Well,
what,
because then it's a over $3,000 contract, and we definitely should get multiple quotes, or at
Well,
least see them if
I-
they exist.
anything that he has that you were just talking about, Catherine, he can send them to us. We can attach them to the voucher. If you guys go ahead and approve this, you could approve it, pending the fact that we have all of the backup and we can attach it to the voucher and get it sent to you, even if you're looking at it after the fact. And we can list it on the face of the voucher for our records. But I think you're right, Catherine. He did do a lot of pricing. So he's got some information.
It was Sarah that asked, Laura.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just technicalities, but we
Yeah.
should be making sure we're doing that.
Absolutely.
I was gonna say,
Absolutely.
we oftentimes have the quotes, but they don't necessarily get associated
Right.
with the.
This is-
Yeah.
We're kind of out of the
You know, after-
starting box here to get them attached. So we can
After
do,
the conversation I had with Joel, he gave me the go-ahead and stuff is already being ordered through Teledare.
Joel doesn't get to give you the go-ahead on spending money, though.
Who does?
That's the board. We're doing that
I
right
thought he
now.
represented the board.
No,
Well, yeah, the board already authorized me to make the improvements that were part of the threat implementation of the threat assessment team recommendations.
that doesn't mean you can't bypass the procurement policy. We just need to see 2
No.
quotes. I'm not saying we should spend the money on it.
What I'm saying is that I did have the authorization to say, go ahead, but the procurement policy should have been followed.
But I think the procurement policy was followed. And I mean, I think that throughout the whole process of the workplace violence threat assessment team, there have been multiple quotes.
Yeah, and your question here, you're talking about whether or
requested.
not there would have been any alternative that you could have got quotes for. You're
A
talking about,
different-
I think that the issue though is just that it's been drawn out for so long that it-
Any purchase contract is supposed to, over $1,500 is supposed to have 2 quotes. 3 quotes for over 2,500? I can't remember, 3,000.
3,000, I think. Yeah. Laura?
yeah, I'm sorry. I just didn't want to keep interrupting. Sarah was trying to say, and Janice. Actually, we have been following our procurement policy right along. The only thing we haven't been doing, which is what the auditors were looking at when they went through the audit, is that we didn't have it attached right. We
Yeah.
weren't showing our paperwork right, or the way that they wanted us to show it. We have quotes maybe sitting back in our folders and in our files for, how we're putting it together. But what they want to see is they want to see it attached to the vouchers in some way, and then have it presented to you, to the board and you guys have it at approval time. So
Yeah, so
like,
we can
we had that big-
verify that the policy was followed. Yeah.
yes, we ordered that big, we have received that big pipe for like 20 some, I can't remember, it's $24,000. And I circled on it that it is an OGS price. So if it's a state contract price, you don't have to have the quotes.
Yeah.
So I circled that, but still at the same time, we should have the paperwork of receiving it attached to that. And that's what I'm hunting down right now from Crossroads Supplies, but to wait another couple weeks to get it paid for. But that
And more
is,
just mean going forward with all abstracts, anything that does that. I also don't know if it even says, it probably should have a caveat in our procurement policy that those values don't apply to like contract. I don't know if we explicitly said that in there, but
I think we did. It's in there.
Did we?
but, you know,
Okay.
Yeah, if it's
Well,
purchased under state bid, yeah, that you don't have to.
well,
Yeah.
that's like the state law, but I don't know if it's in our procurement policy.
I think we put it in there just
Okay,
just so that we all know, what
And
applies and when it doesn't.
yeah.
Yeah, and Jack and Keith have other quotes on this too, even though it says OGS, they keep going for lots. But we just have
Yeah.
to get that attached and get in the habit of knowing what we're putting together. So that is coming.
But I want to just clarify, because I want to make sure that we're all on the same page and that I'm on the same page with you guys, is that, this was approved when the workplace violence recommendations were approved and went through, and there were quotes associated with that report. And so my question is, if it's already been approved back then, does it need to be approved again with multiple quotes for the same thing? Because it was already approved.
The work was approved, but the individual people doing the work, I don't think was approved. If that makes any sense.
But I thought it was. I thought it was like, here are the quotes, here's what we expect to pay. It'll be no more than X amount.
I'd have to go back and look at it,
Well,
but this is
well,
just
that's
from our
true.
auditor meeting, but
Yeah, right.
So that's what I'm wondering is like, do you keep having to come back with quotes every time you're going to make a purchase, even if it's already been approved prior?
If it's approved with, and we already approved it, and we already had the two things that said how much it was going to be, then we don't have to do those things twice. No.
However, I mean, what we ended up doing was different than what was originally quoted, so. But given that you were talking about upgrading a system that's already in place, I'm not sure how anybody else would have bid on it. Other than the current supplier. It'd be sort of a sole source situation.
well,
I can't even say that.
you can have any like data person work on a security system. It doesn't necessarily have to be the person who installed it to begin with.
Actually, there was another company that came and they couldn't do, I mean, to do it, we would have had to change the whole thing. I can't remember the details of it, but we can get the details, but they couldn't mix and match. They would have had to change, Gary, you might be able to help on this, but I believe they would have had to change the whole system out, which would have been a whole lot more money. And what they ended up doing with a couple of adjustments and add a camera and a panic button, and a few other things that were, and it was done in small. Some of the things were really inexpensive, like a doorbell that's I think it's $15, $20. But anyway, I think what we're really saying is that what we need on the voucher, or the correct word, is the documentation, which is what Laura was just saying, which is what the auditor told us on that meeting, is that if we write on the voucher itself the backup for why.
But that is also two quotes. One's just astronomically high, which is why we wouldn't choose them, but just again, this has nothing to do with that one particular project, just.
General point.
And also it would be, if we did approve something, it would be nice to have that paperwork with it also, because we're not like Rain Man. We can't remember everything.
Yeah.
Laura? Laura's got her hand, yeah.
I think that the way that I'm looking at it is, at the time when you guys are approving this, you're approving now at this point. Yeah, you approved the project, you approved to go ahead and get it, you approved the dollar amount and everything. But at the time when you're approving, that abstract is going to be cash going out the door in the form of a check. So as you're approving that's the amount that check will be cut for, then you see all the paperwork, make sure that figure is accurate based on the paperwork that you're looking at. Does that make sense? You have the actual invoice, you have the actual bill, and maybe you have, attached some of the other quotes, which we'll get to that, and we'll put them. So you're looking at the whole package at that point, saying that's the dollar amount for our accountant to cut that check for and send it out the door. So putting it on there, it's not really necessarily approving the project at that point. It's approving what you're saying is okay to go ahead and send out.
I'm saying this
That
bill
makes
is
sense.
okay, and you know, the charge is authorized, and it's, and where the money's coming from is what we're just doing.
Yes, like you're asking about, that dollar amount wasn't on that bill because it's only gonna be half.
Yeah.
So it gives you the opportunity to ask about that, and you're looking and saying, hey, you know, this dollar, what's this dollar amount about?
Mhm.
And that's what we'll approve right now for you to pay. We're not gonna approve the whole thing, just this amount. So
Well,
that's the way I
So
look
do
at it.
we recalculate the total for the general fund?
I believe it was just minus $1.20, which would
That's it.
make it 24,670 and 71 cents.
Okay,
Or
so with
vouchers.
that, can we vote on the consent agenda then?
Does that include the minutes?
It
Yes.
does.
Okay, shouldn't we ask if the minutes are all right before we just vote?
Well,
Well,
thing
the
about
consent
is
agenda
you
is,
don't, but.
we have been
um,
discussing, so it's a
yeah,
little moot
yes,
at this
right.
point.
What did you
Okay.
have a point you wanted to raise about the minutes, Pat?
No, the minutes are fine.
So unless there's something to be said about them, they're included in the consent agenda.
Yeah, I know.
And that whole package is then subject to a vote without further discussion.
I'll move it if
So-
you didn't already.
What's that?
I said I'll move it if you hadn't done it already.
Okay, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay,
Oh, what was the total? What was the total for general?
Let me go back. It was 24,670 and 71 cents. So 24670.71.
okay, Janice.
No.
Connor,
No,
Hunter,
Yes, after all the
Uh-huh.
discussion.
Schnabel,
Yes.
Woodworth,
Yes,
Kenyon.
Yes. All right. Now, did Danny get himself connected?
I believe so, Danny. Where are
You are muted now. If you can unmute in the bottom left.
Click on the microphone icon there.
It should be like red with a slash through it if you click that button.
or hold down the space bar.
Oh, I didn't know that was an option.
Yep. Mm.
Yep.
I don't want to learn too many things when I push the.
Danny,
wrong-
nod if you can hear us first.
Yeah, I think you said yes.
Nod if you can hear us, Danny, or wave your hand.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Okay.
Okay, that microphone on my screen is not red, it's white, and it's down.
There
There
you
you
go.
go.
There you
for it.
go. Oh, wait, you just
Ah,
muted
oh,
yourself again.
yeah.
There you go.
Say hello.
Yeah, no, we're not hearing him now.
He hasn't said anything.
Yeah, I think he did.
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
Did he?
If his computer doesn't have a microphone, then I don't know.
Does it?
No.
I've never seen a camera that didn't have a microphone.
Oh,
If-
that's true, actually.
If somebody,
Well, mine
call-
doesn't.
You might need to select
My
one.
Dell, I had to buy
It's
one.
probably- Maybe his volume is down.
it'll probably be more effective if somebody calls him and then holds their earpiece from the telephone right up to our microphone.
I will do that. I've got him right here.
We could hear him slightly before when you were on the phone too, so.
Danny, I'm calling you, and then you can talk to my phone.
I'm still working through
Can you
those.
hear him?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, I got that red thing, but I punch on it. That should turn me on, and it isn't doing it. It isn't moving.
Yeah. Well, fortunately, we can hear you on the phone, so,
Okay, all right.
and we can see you, so, you know, you got both the video and the audio that way.
All right. Then I'm on now?
Yep.
Mhm.
Okay. First off, I'd like to say that I thank you folks for going to listen to me tonight. And with the Sons of Union Veterans for 30 years. I have worked on monuments. I've worked on stones. Whatever we can do for the soldier himself, we have done. The one thing I'd like to say that 20 years ago, around 20 years ago, I've lost track of time sometimes, I cleaned that monument that's in Danby. And I had no problem with doing it. I use a stone clean, which is a professional cleaning that is used in Barry, Vermont. And I can tell you now, I have used it all over the city of Ithaca. And I have had people question me. I can pour that stuff on the grass and the grass will grow. It's very hard. It's not harmless. It doesn't hurt anything. I would like to say that here's a record that I have. I'm very proud of. In Kings Ferry, we wanted to rebuild that monument. The base I got a call from the cemetery and the base was falling off. He was ready to go backwards, have pot metal, couldn't put Humpty Dumpty back together again. So I called by using my phone, and I got a hold of a guy in Cortland that had a crane. Told him I had no money, but I needed a crane. The man, to make it short, he did come over, and he held him up while we put a bottom on his base. And he's still there today. I stop there 3-4 times a year just to say hi to the old guy. The other thing that I have done is I have done the Watkins Glen Cemetery monument there, 2 cannons. We cleaned the cannons and we cleaned the stone, everything that was there. We held a rededication service. Trumansburg, they have a siege gun up there. It's only 4 in the United States. It was built a year after the Civil War, but was given to the town of Trumansburg by the Grand Army of the Republic, which were the veterans of the Civil War. We completely had to redo the bottom because it was all fieldstone. So we had to redo that. And we cleaned the monument. The other thing is that the kids were actually throwing stuff into the barrel of that big cannon, fireworks and all kinds of stuff. Raccoons were living in it. So we made a plate and put over that so no animals can get in there or nothing. Everything was completely done. The other thing that I'm real proud of is doing the JR Monument in the City Cemetery, which was my first attempt at cleaning. In order to do that, I had to learn. And I did that with the guy down on, I want to say 5 Mile Drive, it is, on the west end of Ithaca. Can't remember the guy's name. He taught me how to clean. I cleaned all the stones that are there, which is 24 stones, with the city bringing me up the water trucks and all that. The city has been very good at bringing me whatever I needed to do all this work in the city of Ithaca. I did an Ithaca College stone, which is in the DeWitt Park. When I called them to get permission, they didn't even know they had a stone there. And doing that, the church next door asked me if I would do their monument in their flower garden. So I did that one. I can go on if you'd like more information. I have some more monuments I did too. The one I'm really proud of is the World War II monument in DeWitt Park. You couldn't even actually see the names. And what they wanted to do was take it off and send it somewhere to have it done. And I told them if they did that, I was afraid it was gonna get messed up and it wouldn't go back on. So we taped it, everything. And then we rebronzed it. So I've rebronzed that monument. And that was probably 10 or 12 years ago, and it still looks very good. If you go down on Green Street, I get those mixed up. I think it's Green Street. On the city building there, you'll see the names of the World War II veterans. I completely did that for them. because that was really messed up. Somebody had poured acid on that. So therefore, you know, like I say, the Vietnam Monument, I cleaned that a couple times. I had 3 mayors that actually, I have letters here at home I could show you that put me in charge of DeWitt Park for cleaning monuments. So that's where I stand.
Okay, so you've established your credibility here.
That should do it.
Yeah. So what do you propose to do? So what do you propose to do here?
The people on it means too much.
I don't think he can hear us, Kenny.
Yeah, I think Joel, you were talking over him, so I was trying to listen to Danny. I didn't hear what you were saying either. I was listening to Danny.
But what I was saying was that Danny has now well established his competence in tackling, and I wanted to know what it is that you want us to do to.
Well, what I really need is a cherry picker and someone to run it, because that's something I don't run that equipment. I don't know how to run the equipment. Okay. But as far as going up and cleaning that monument, the north and the south side of that monument is what's dirty.
Mm-hmm.
East-west side looks pretty good. I think a lot of it's pollution from the road, because when it was put there, I'm sure there wasn't a lot of busy traffic. Could have been
Right.
weddings for all I know. But
Probably wasn't paved at the time.
yeah, right. But
So what Danny,
as far as the Sons go, I was commander-in-chief of the Sons of Union Veterans for the whole nation. I have done everything I can for over 30 years for our organization.
yeah, and there was a
I'm
one,
very proud to be able to do this monument again.
yeah,
It would cost a lot of money for you people to get professionals in there to do it. And I'm not a professional, but I'm a semi-pro.
Mhm.
it sounds to me like you have been a professional going out to these other places and being hired and commended for it. Now, I think what Danny wants is for, if we could rent, and we'd have to coordinate the timing with Danny for when he can and when we can rent.
Yeah, I have some ideas here when you're ready.
Okay, go for it.
I called around just to see. I don't know if you folks can get a better buy somewhere else, but I checked every place that I could in Ithaca. The one I found that was the best, and it only because they will deliver it and they will pick it up. Any other place could be $20 or $30 cheaper, but you got to go get it. You got to take it back certain time and all that stuff. Rick's Rental has it for $275 delivered.
Mhm.
That would be, I mean, if you can find a better price or something you'd rather do, that's fine with me.
I think I missed it before. Is that for a lift?
Yeah,
Cherry
Cherry
picker.
picker.
That's still lift.
Yeah, I heard cherry picker and I was like, what's that?
it's a lift.
The lift,
Yeah, I'd call it a scissor lift. Okay.
yeah.
I'm calling a lift.
It's what the it's more like what the utilities use than a scissor. But you have to be able to telescope out.
Now, last time when we did that monument, I was able to get a hold of the phone company. And I convinced them to bring one up.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think they do that anymore. You know,
Hard enough to get them to do their regular job.
Right.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
Do it. So do you need?
Wouldn't hurt asking them.
But
No,
you need
can't.
somebody
Get
to
them on the
operate
phone.
the. So, yeah, but then you need an assistant to operate the
Yeah,
machine.
that really would, because that's something. The other thing I didn't tell you about, was the big flagpole in Stewart Park. They called me and wanted me to go up and scrape it down, paint it, all that good stuff. Well, the first time we went up, me and myself and one of the city employees, the guy running the thing hit the wrong lever, pushed us into the flagpole, and we in the flagpole was going back and forth for about 5 minutes. I said I wouldn't go back up, but I did 4 times. But that's why we need somebody that can operate that. The worst thing we could do is let something happen to that monument.
Yeah.
So I need somebody that knows how to run it and take us up and move us over when we need to be moved over.
So I'm
Is
not
that
sure how to
something that
address
any of
that.
our highway people would be able to do?
I really think so. I'm sure they do.
Is Laura still on here?
They
Yep,
don't have to
I'm
do
right
that.
here. Hold on a second. Jack's listening in.
Oh, okay,
So they could do that, but we'd have to clear it with highway superintendent.
You have to what?
sure.
They could drive, I mean, we don't have one of those pieces
Yeah,
of
we don't
equipment, but
have it, but
They don't have one?
no,
No, we're talking about renting it. And do we have somebody who could competently run it though?
I mean, I've driven them
That's not a
before,
problem.
but
we do, but we would have to get with planning we have such a workload that,
Yes.
how long is he gonna need it for?
Well,
How long will it take him to
how
clean the
long will it
monument?
take? Yeah, how long? I'm sorry, what was that?
4 hours should do it.
About 4 hours.
So we can get back with you and let you know.
We'll check with the highway superintendent and get back with you to see if he could get a man over there to run that lift.
I appreciate that.
Okay,
And in the meanwhile, if anybody knows any contractors that, we should ask around about contractors who might be able to donate that time.
Yeah,
We have a guy that used to be a tree climber. And he ran one all the time.
Mm-hmm.
I think
Yeah.
he can do it.
He worked for
Is
a
it-
tree,
is it a boom lift or a scissor lift that we'll need?
that'll be a boom lift.
Probably boom lift.
Yeah.
Scissor wouldn't allow you to get close enough.
Yeah,
The other thing is I'm going to have to contact the fire company. And they did it last time. I'm sure somebody needs training over there. What I need is them to come over and keep it wet.
Oh,
We have to have it wet while we're working it. Okay, so
we could probably do that with a hose from
we
the.
start cleaning, then they rinse it all off.
Mhm.
Okay?
would our water truck, Jack, be able to hose it?
And we're gonna have.
They water truck there. They did it before.
Guys,
Okay.
we would have to see the chemical to make sure we're not exposing anything.
Yeah, we just need some information.
Yeah,
And we'll see what we can do.
we would have to get SDS sheets for the chemical in case something happened. He got it in his eyes.
This isn't a chemical.
It's just water.
No,
no,
it's not. No, it's not just water.
Number, and we'll give
Yes,
you-
yes, yes, Joel, it is water. What Danny uses the chemical. Danny uses a material, something to clean it. And what the fire department does is just rinse it with just plain water.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
he needs to know what the
That's-
chemical
yeah.
is that's getting rinsed off. He needs to know what that is, and that's
Yeah.
that's the content of the material he's using. But
Danny,
but he said there's
Danny,
no chemicals, so it doesn't matter.
Danny, is the solution that D2 biological solution?
What's that?
Is the solution you use that called D2 biological solution?
It's called Stone Clean. And it's used by the professionals in Barry, Vermont. When you buy a stone,
I think it's
they
D,
actually clean it with that.
yeah, I think it's D2 biological.
yeah, I'm pretty sure it's the same
Yeah.
stuff, yeah.
And that you can get on the grass and it doesn't hurt
No,
anything.
no, it
That's what
won't
he
get
just
on.
said.
Right, right.
No.
That's
So
good.
what do we need to do now then? Do we just need to approve that this can happen and then coordination can happen later?
If you want to approve it, yes, I
And
would.
you have to,
appreciate
I
that.
had to go to Syracuse to buzz nothing, no, there's no problem.
So we need two things. We need an amount and where the money's coming from.
Well, like I say, what I'm looking at is 275. I don't know if you can find something cheaper. I found one for 208, but the problem is you had to go get it. You had to
Yes,
take it
yeah.
back.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're not gonna get anything cheaper than that. That sounds like a
Well,
good
unless
price.
somebody in town has got.
Yeah,
one
unless
or
somebody donates one,
You know,
but we could say
tried-
not to
I-
exceed
I- I
300.
spent here
Right.
trying to find Somebody
That was-
that would do that.
That's
with
my
the great
inclination.
plan For free, and I couldn't find nobody.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I've done
Okay.
everything. Matter of fact, we had it in your paper that I was
Right.
looking for a volunteer,
Right.
Mhm.
and I never got a phone call.
So how
Yeah.
about we just do an authorization to clean
Mhm.
for a expenditure not to exceed $300.
I'll second that.
I'll
We
third that.
haven't identified where the money's gonna come from, but
Yeah.
Right.
Wouldn't it come out of like buildings or something like that.
Well, it's not a capital expenditure, but I suppose it could come out of just the building maintenance.
Maintenance.
Yeah, building maintenance, it's like a,
It's
Yeah.
small enough for it to come out of the 1620.4.
Yeah, the contractual.
that's
loan.
the building contractual.
Yes, building contractual. Small
Okay.
enough, it's probably not going to affect it.
Okay,
Sure.
so that's the funding source. It's moved and seconded. Any discussion about it?
I would like to say I will volunteer to work with Danny about timing and all of that stuff. And Danny and I can try to set up, and anybody who gets any ideas, call either Danny or me or both of us. So
Yeah.
that we can,
One
coordinate.
thought I had was there's no need to go to the fire department for water. You've got, there's a silcock right there at the town hall. You can just run a hose.
It-
We need to go all the way to the top of water.
Yeah, but it's not that tall.
Well,
Okay, all right, that's fine.
if
As
he,
long as I can keep it wet.
yeah, it has to be kept wet the entire time, Joel, and depending on the water for this year with the drought, if Danny has done this before with the fire department volunteering and they can use it for training, I see no reason why not to have them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
probably run the well dry or something.
Yeah, we don't want to do that.
Well, you have to keep it wet, but you don't have to run the water continuously because.
No, you wet it down, we work it. And then
Yeah.
as soon as I got it worked on one side, you just wet down that side. again.
You rinse it off. Yeah, right. Because you don't want to wash your soap off while you're doing it.
No.
Okay, well, we'll let you guys worry about that.
So we're back with, I guess, Catherine then, correct?
Yeah,
From Highway? We
Yeah.
will see what we can do. I mean, we have a water truck, but like you said, if the fire department wants to use their equipment, that would be good also.
Massive overkill, but anyway, if they want to do it,
Water
no
truck is
problem.
the old, or the
Last
old
time
fire truck.
I mentioned it.
Yeah,
It's also good to have other people involved in helping out because some people care about it.
yes, I
Right.
agree. Yeah,
Certainly hope so.
yeah.
not a bad
I
thing.
have my organization, my camp, and I have 4 or 5 people there myself.
Yeah, okay.
We
Terrific.
might come up with more stuff. We'll find out what we can do.
It'll make
Yeah.
Everybody does everything right.
We need to, we need to make a little documentary film for our town of Danby.
Website.
What's that? Well, I can't think of the word I want.
The
know,
YouTube
like-
page,
What?
the YouTube channel.
Yeah, the
Oh.
YouTube things for our, welcome to Danby, we care about things or whatever, whatever.
Not a bad idea.
Yeah.
I like it.
David has done some videos in the past and we were gonna have collections for get to know Danby, get to know your town, Danby.
Yeah, that's a good idea. So can we
Yeah.
vote?
Yeah, I think so.
Right,
Great.
okay, Janice,
I just need to clarify, Joel, you moved it and Pat, you seconded?
I think it was Catherine.
Catherine
I did,
seconded.
but it doesn't matter
Catherine?
who you put.
Okay.
And then Leslie thirded.
Yeah.
For the third. Okay, Connors,
Yes.
Hunter,
Yes.
Schnabel,
Yes.
Woodworth,
Yes,
Gagnon.
yes. Okay, so go to guys. You have our
All
support.
right.
Thank you, guys. I got another thing I want to bring up too. Won't take me long. First thing I want to say is I'd like to see us do that around the end of July if possible.
Okay.
We have our meeting the second Monday. I want to make sure my guys are on. They're on this thing with me. Okay. I know they are. I already talked about it at our meeting. And they knew I was going to do this. Okay?
Yep.
Now, I have one other thing I'd like to bring up. As a national organization, as the Sons of Union Veterans of the Civil War are, and we are, by the way, the second oldest patriotic organization in the United States, started in 1866 by the Civil War soldiers. I could get into the rest of the history, but I don't have to.
Not if you're gonna make it quick.
Huh?
Not if you're gonna make it quick.
What I'd like to talk to you about is we have the opportunity to put in some forms to the Pomeroy Foundation. The Pomeroy Foundation does signs for the road, and they do them for free. It has to be done by an organization which we would take care of. What I would like to do to be able to meet with the town historian or the board or whatever and come up with a wording that we could put on the sign and have it next to the monument. The reason for it is that will bring more people in to read that sign and understand the monument.
Mhm.
Okay? It wouldn't cost you guys anything but a bag of concrete. And if you can't afford that, I'll buy it.
Yeah, I've got a pallet of them here. You can have one.
Okay? But as far as getting the sign and the post and everything, they pay for it.
You mean something like a historical marker type sign?
Historical
Yeah.
marker for the monument.
Mhm.
And,
Where would you put it? Right in front?
well, we can decide that when it's done. But you
Yeah, I mean, like, you wouldn't want to obscure it.
the corners.
Yeah.
Because the front of the monument's that's pretty sacred.
Yeah, right. You say you don't want to hide it.
Deceased.
Yeah.
And I know we're not, I don't want to drag this out either. However, I'm going to add in that Danny brought a list of all the people with all the dates of their birth and their death. And then Rhonda was suggesting it would be nice if we compiled a little history, and this is another project for the historian or some people, but there's a lot more to it and we can't talk about it all right now, but it was fascinating, fascinating. So there's lots more, and there was a guy there, I don't remember his name, but he has done a lot of research recently. Danny's got it, so there's lots of interesting stuff.
So what we're looking for here is an authorization to get the sign and put it there. Right?
Say it again, Joel.
So what we're looking to is authorization to procure such a sign and in place it.
Yeah, I just need to get a hold of Pompey Foundation and
Yeah.
do the
That's
paperwork.
not a Civil War monument. That is not a Civil War monument. That is a monument to all individuals in Danby who have died at some time in some war. And I object to making it a Civil War monument.
Well,
It was erected after the Civil War, but
I have to write here the records. Matter of fact,
Well, is there anything we need to do right now then? Or should we
Well,
wait
it
for
sounded
that
like we-
portion to be figured out a little bit more?
well, I think we should probably tell Danny that we're okay with putting the sign up if he can get it. Yeah.
It might be nice if we got to see the content.
Yeah.
Well, sure, right.
Sounds like a plan.
Our organization can get that sign and it won't cost anything.
Yeah.
We'll just,
Thank
yeah,
you.
I'd say that's a pretty solid go ahead from us. And then we'll want to see the exact wording and placement and things like that, but that's later.
Write it if you want.
Yeah. But I
Well,
think
maybe we'll leave that to the historian.
we can
That's fine.
gather that we're basically supportive of the idea, though.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Thanks.
Thanks, Danny.
Just to let you guys know, I got one thing to say. The first monument rebuilt was at the JR Monument in the Esca City Cemetery. And yours truly is being buried right across from it so I can see it. Right.
Aw,
Aw.
well, that's, I hope not for a long time.
Mhm.
Thanks, Danny.
Okay.
Well, thank
so,
you. Thank
yeah,
you,
so-
Dan.
Yeah.
And now we turn to Laura for the budget transfer resolution.
Thanks, Danny.
I am gonna share this because I was a little disappointed that this wasn't on the attached. This is the list of the budget transfers that should have been attached to that.
Mhm.
Just the resolution portion,
Mm-hmm.
or I guess this is part of the resolution, but.
Right, because the resolution just says,
Yeah, so I'm
transfer
trying
is
to
effected as on the attached sheet, which
see
is,
if there's a better
this
way
is
to
the
view
attached sheet.
this.
I got the sheet and printed it out.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it was not available for the public, which
Ah.
means we shouldn't be voting on it technically.
well, I'm not sure we need this kind of detail in the information that we share with.
The
public
only
anyway.
thing the resolution said was that we're doing budget transfers. The public should see what money is going from where to where.
Yeah, they should be able to.
Yes, and it says see attached sheet. So we can wait till next time if you want to do that. We're already this far along in the game, so if you want to
Okay.
wait for next time, go, it'll give you guys a little more time to look it over too.
I
I
would
also
like that.
sent out.
Yeah, I
also-
kind of wanted to go through a little bit
Yeah.
more and see like, just for upcoming budget season to think like, why was
Yeah.
this and
Or
Yeah,
was
and if
that,
you
that,
look at
right?
look at I also sent along from our accounting, the final detail of expenditure for 2021, so that you can go on there and you can take a look. You can take a look at what these line items are. You can see, as I put in there, as just a little hint, look toward the right-hand column of that unencumbered balance. At a glance, you can go down through there and you see see the negative. That means it went over budget.
Mhm.
And those are the line items that we are transferring into from other line items where there were amounts there. It's a routine thing we do at the end of the year. I think we've done really well this year. We've kept up with a lot of them as we went through the year, which is really what the state wants us to do. But at the end of the year, you can't help it. There's accruals that are done and all of that. And I know we're into June, and as you saw by my email,
Yeah, and
Sorry,
we'll be more than
little
halfway
bit-
through
sorry,
the
it's
year
a
by
little
if we postpone this until July.
yeah, what's it gonna be? But so I don't plan on having any more operations right away. So hopefully next year this doesn't have to happen. But you look on that detail of expenditure and kind of get used to that report, because that's what we're gonna start giving as we go through these months and everything, and also with our finance committee meeting. You'll be able to see, so zero in on those negatives, and then you can look at what those transfers are and you'll see how they're being covered. And the final, I went through and actually put them in through the books. I can take them back out if it's not something I do, but that's what we kind of need to do. And the reason for it is when we do our AUD, they want to see, they don't want to see all these negatives all over the place. They want to see that they were funded, that the board approved that funding through the other parts of it. So that'll help you guys out. Doesn't matter if we approve this tonight. We could wait till the next board meeting. At this point. We'll be earlier.
It would be nice to close the books on 2021 before we start budgeting for 2023.
We will. I know we're going to start our budget process soon, so we'll be up to date at that point too, and being able to move on. But that's why I also send out that that other report. I don't have it on the general fund this time, I apologize, but on the highway. And it's a budget account, and it's an account analysis of the expenditures, so that you can see you're not going over budget when you're approving your abstract. You're okay on the general fund this time too, even though you didn't get one. But I try to, I want to keep up with that, because that's a main report as you're going month to month to see where you're at with the budget for expenditures. And I can report too, we got a nice check for mortgage tax. We're going to end up with a nice amount, and we have one more check that will be coming toward the end of the year. So we're going to be well over budget for that revenue.
Maybe, with mortgage rates rising, it might be less.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. We will, but I'm sure that whatever it's going to be, we're going to be having, receiving more than we anticipated. 2021 as well. So that's just kind of something to look forward to there. But
yeah. So is it the board's pleasure to postpone this to next time?
Yes.
I think it would be better.
Yeah, that'd be great.
I also
And
didn't delve into it as much as I wanted to, but
also, when you do delve into it, if you want to just call me too, I'm happy to answer any questions and find some detail for you too, as you have individual questions looking at it.
is this statement easy enough to get, or is it kind of like cumbersome to put it together? Just like if we're thinking about doing that throughout the year.
Oh, the detail of expenditure, that detail of expenditure won't come off an piece of accounting software until there's a bank reconciliation done. Because that's what's going to be really tie in the numbers, is when you do the bank reconciliation and be able to close out your books for that month. And you're going to know that's the final check with the cash that has affected all of those account numbers. It's not cumbersome. It's just me going through, doing our bank recs and doing the books and being able to print that for you. The big goal is to be able to do it and you guys have it quickly. And it's a nice report. We also have one on the revenues. You'll also get a trial balance sheet, and all of that information about the cash and what's in reserves and all of those things too on a monthly basis that will come with this.
Okay, cool.
So
Cause yeah, I like seeing that. It's I just didn't
I like the
get
percentage.
into the nitty gritty.
Yeah, I
Mhm.
like the percentage column too, percent remaining.
Yeah.
Yes, that's very useful.
That remaining, and although each
Well,
account
yeah.
has a different nature,
I mean, it's somewhat limited because you have to know what your expected expenditures to date are. Because sometimes it only happens in a couple of chunks. And
Yeah, sometimes it happens like in one chunk, like say, you can see, hey, we spent only 85% of the budgeted amount in our, say, for retirement, had a bill that came in, so you kind of use it as a tool, and it's something that is pretty useful, I think.
yeah, at least you could precipitate questions.
But you want to be looking at a good report, not just a, well, this is a shoot from the hip, here we go.
Yeah, not just a report that has no
Right.
bearing
You
on
want to know
reality.
it's a report that's very accurate. And the way to get that is to do the bank reconciliations. And when your cash balance is out and you've captured all of the pieces that fit into that and flow in through that report and flow in through it, then you've got something right on.
Okay, so next time. Proposed amendment to the conservation easement template, which I think I floated a couple of months ago and then we set it aside. And now it's back again. So you recall maybe that the way it currently reads, it tells you that structures improvements are prohibited except. And this flips it around saying structures and improvements are permitted except. And it's a short list of things that are not okay. So this is a more positive way of stating that what's in residential and active use zone is basically what people are expecting normally would be allowed in and around the residences, with or without an easement. And the important things for us is that the purpose of the easement is that is to limit or reduce the amount of development potential, that we're not be adding dwelling units beyond what's provided for in the easement. So basically it just says you can do whatever you want, just don't add more dwelling units. So this has already been incorporated into the Raven Cache easement.
Okay.
So this is just a change to the template.
I'd
Yeah,
like
this
to
was
move
just
that we change the template to
I'll second.
include this.
Okay, any discussion? We're good. Janice,
Connors,
Yes.
Hunter,
Yes.
Novel,
Yes,
Woodworth,
Yes,
Kenyon.
yes. Okay, agreement
Could
to spend funds, request
could
number 5.
Could I? Joel,
Yes,
I have a request. And I have a long list besides this one, but could we now get a clean copy of the conservation easement template that includes this?
sure. In fact,
Okay.
what we should do is we should be making this change to the template that's already available on the website.
Right. Right. We end up losing, it's just a fact. We end up losing a lot of changes because we don't,
We don't
they
keep
get put
track.
into minutes or something and we don't, make a,
Yeah.
here's the copy of the new blah,
Yeah,
So
right.
I'm gonna start asking for those. And we can
Yeah,
put it on the website, but it would be good for town board members to have, an email copy of this.
yeah,
And the
Okay.
CAC folks too.
yeah. Okay. Okay.
We need a
Um,
dog law too. Maybe. Anyway, go ahead.
when we get there, right?
Sorry, yeah.
Okay, so we have a new opportunity here to get a deal.
Yeah.
Tell us about it, Laura.
Yes, we do. And Jack's sitting right here as well. Yes, we have an opportunity to get a deal on, we need to replace a culvert going across the road on Gunderman, or not
Bruce Hill.
Gunderman, Bruce Hill Road.
So,
It's at the corner, crossroads of Brown Road and Bruce Hill intersection.
Okay.
Uh, The pipe would be purchased from the town of Cortlandville, from their overstock supplies. It's what Jack and Keith, they look around and go, because there's a lot of municipalities that have those. So they went out, they go and they actually look at the item and make sure that it's of good quality, even though it's been sitting in their stockpile. And sometimes they want to get rid of these things that have been sitting around, they don't have a use for, that they had there. So they were able to get a deal on the pipe that they need for that project. So a sum not to exceed $12,000. We spent to purchase a 10 gauge aluminized 96-inch by 50-foot pipe with 2 bands. So that's including the bands.
Mhm.
And
I
the
bet that
original
comes with 3
price of
pieces. Is
that-
that why it's got 2 bands?
No, there's 3 pieces, two
Yeah,
20
okay.
sections because they can't deliver any longer than 20, and then
Yeah,
again.
Yeah,
then
okay,
there's
that's what I
bands
figured.
between the 2.
And you already
Three.
did the legwork that got this size of pipe approved for that application,
Yes,
right?
that took quite a lot of work. You have to work with Army Corps of Engineer, Fish and Wildlife, and DEC. And again, we did get approval from all of the entities mentioned to replace the pipe. And this is actually a bigger pipe. So again, it's an improvement from what's in there,
Mhm.
and they're going to allow it. The price of that pipe would be $23,699.32, including 2 bands, and that's on the OGS state contract pricing. So this is
Wow.
about half the price. And this is a brand new pipe. It's surplus that they've had, so they feel getting rid of it and helping, like the shared service agreement, they're happy with that. It's something they don't use. They've had for about 5 years, but it is a brand new pipe.
So that's a good deal. So that's why there's another request to spend funds. Sorry, you're getting this in chunks this year too, but
But
with
that's
the
okay.
inflation and then the projects going on at the time, once we do paving and that, whatever those prices are gonna be, you could get it approved one day and the next day you gotta go back for a different approval for the dollar amount. So we're just doing it in chunks. So
Sure.
this is agreement to spend funds to be able to purchase that pipe and get it.
It
in.
also helps on the situation of the delivery time. We
Mhm.
can deliver this
Yeah.
now, it's already in stock, and go get it versus waiting about 4 months like the other.
Yeah,
That's true.
yeah.
I'll move this agreement to spend highway funds.
I'll second it.
This is in addition to what we've already agreed to.
Mhm.
Any further discussion?
Good job.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, it's quite a steal.
Yeah,
Yeah,
thanks,
that was
Jack.
a team effort.
did,
Both Keith and I went out and
It's great.
Yeah.
and
Jack's
dealt
good at
with it,
shopping.
negotiated price.
We need it tonight. It just started pouring.
I did it?
Is it
It
pouring
looks like
there?
it's going to,
It
yeah.
looks like it's gonna here. too.
1 to 3 is what they say, but then other people have mentioned up to 5.
Well, we'll see.
5 is a problem.
Yeah, yes.
3 is
it is.
okay. 5 is when we saw the last big problem.
These guys will be watching it.
I don't hear
Yeah.
anything here, but anyway.
It's
Janice,
definitely
vote.
raining here. I can hear it
Is
on the
it?
metal roof.
Yeah.
Connors,
Yes.
Hunter,
Yes.
Schnabel,
Yes?
Woodworth,
yes,
Kenyon.
Yes.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Hey, did we miss that? We tuned in a little later than.
Yeah, you did. You want to
Missed
do
the
it
highway
now?
report.
Yeah, we were looking for you, but you were not yet here.
I'm sorry.
Oh, the related. work.
Public hearings went really fast.
Stayed at work until just about 6, so
Yeah.
we tried hustling
Well, a little
home to be here a little before. But
Jack, would you like to give us a brief update on how
Sure.
how it's
Um,
going?
We're glad to see Gunderman Road project getting closer. You know, and we're gonna get guide rails in. The man still has to do some work behind the fire department that the Army Corps approved to get some bank stabilization in there. He has some riprap to put on both sides of the bank, approximately behind the center of the fire department. That was part of this whole plan to stabilize the stream, to stabilize the bank behind the fire department. That he has yet to do, which he'll do next week, unless weather pending, the stream is too high or whatever. And then we have, of course, we've paved Comfort Road finally. We think we've got the water issue solved, and we're bringing in material right now that we actually got a deal on. Again, we searched out for material with a shared service agreement, and we're getting material to build the shoulders, so that that will save a whole lot of money there as well. And the town of Ithaca is going to come up with their shoulder machine. I'm going to guess probably about 4 weeks we should be putting shoulders on that road, Comfort Road. And then, of course, one other step later on would be to chip seal it. We have to let it set a little bit, but in a few months we will be putting a chip seal on top of that. And we're working in West Danby. Again, we're trying to solve the water issues. We've had to lower quite a few pipes, remove pipes, change pipes. We just did one on Brown Road, just up south of the intersection that we're talking about with Bruce Hill. And the pipe was about 2 feet higher than it should have been, and actually a little small. So we've lowered the pipe down about 2 feet to get the water that stands at the edge of the road near West Miller's property, the mother. And it's been this way for quite a while, and the water infiltrates the road, and then you end up with these pothole conditions and a soft road. And so that's, again, what we're working on. Brown Road's gonna have quite a bit of work down in that area. And we're starting up on Durfee Hill. And we'd like to get a number on Durfee Hill, possibly see if we can't stable and get the water outside of that road so we could pave at least from the section of Steam Mill down to Nelson. That's kind of on the hit list. We're working top right now because there's a problem up around Howard Road. That's another area. So we have these areas, we have the crew split doing all the work to get this water. The main thing is get the water off the road, and we have to work at getting preservation on the good roads. And that's our goal. You're going to see us come up soon with chip seal on the good road so that we don't lose them. That will be coming down the pike soon. We'll probably do West King and Yaple Road. They're still good. If you don't, we technically should get into a 5-year plan where we're doing a chip seal about every 5 years. We're going to go to a class Friday that will bring this out. If you can chip seal your roads, you will get much more service life out of them. The roads deteriorate after about 5 years, and then they steadily go, they lose altitude, so to speak, real quick after 5 years, and they show a lot of signs of cracks. And we're going to try to get to a plan where we're doing the road maintenance, so to speak. But we're first of all getting the road water off the road is the main thing. Ditches cleaned out, possibly pipes changed. We've got a lot of culverts, as you can see in the last 2 years. We have really been working hard on ditches and change of culverts. We've done a lot more in the last 2 years than we've done in a long time. And
Go ahead. I had a question for you, Jack, because I drove by the Brown Road work. What are you going to do, if anything, about keeping that cut from eroding?
We're going to hydroseed it. We're going to put, so we found a couple of streams that come out of the bank. That's been the problem. We're going to dig them back and put some what's called gabions, or like it's a 6-inch minus rock.
Yep, I saw that.
The bank so it doesn't keep falling down into the road. And that's on the hit list to be hydroseeded to get growth back on the bank. We're working with soil and water to hydroseed for us. That'll be done soon, possibly Thursday, if weather permits.
Hopefully we don't get 3 inches of rain between now and then.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, good. Thanks.
Well, thank you.
Thanks.
All right. Let's see, where are we?
We're on proposed zoning law amendment for commercial zone C. So I'm assuming
Yes. And David
it's
is
David
back.
here.
Hey,
Yeah. I like your shirt.
thank you. So we had the public hearing on this last meeting. We got a letter of no comment from Tompkins County Planning Department in their 239 review. So what's left to do is to declare yourself lead agency, which I don't think we did. there's a short form, part 1. This is an unlisted action. So we do the short form. There's a draft, parts 2 and 3 form. If you looked at the short form, you'd notice the first box is checked, which then means you leave all the other boxes blank. So it looks like a pretty blank form, but there is a narrative at the end that just describes what you're doing and why it does or doesn't have any environmental impacts. The short answer for this is that anything that is allowed by this is allowed with site plan review, so it would go through its own seeker if someone were to do an actual project. So the first step to move forward would be
Declaration of lead
someone making a
agency.
movement to declare lead agency.
I'll do that. So second,
I'll second. it.
Second. Oop, doesn't matter.
let's see, who is first?
Right, I'll give
Okay.
it.
Who did you hear first?
I
Dennis?
heard Connors by a hair.
Okay. And there's not much need to have a discussion about that, so why don't we just vote on it?
Connors,
Yes,
Hunter,
Yes.
Schnabel,
Yes.
Woodward,
Yes.
Kenyon.
Yes. Now, should we review the SCAF?
I think that's reasonable if I can get work drive to open, unless somebody else wants to put it on the screen.
The links in the agenda don't seem to be working, but see if I can get it up on here.
Part 1 open for me, but
There we go. I think this is the right one. Yeah.
yeah, that's
Yes.
part 1.
That is the right one. All right,
And as
so
David mentioned, answer to question 1 is yes, which brings you all the way to the end, the narrative.
See if I can get this kind of all on one page there.
all right. Do you want me to read through this? This is essentially, it's very similar, you may notice, to what was published in the Danby Area News, explaining what we're doing here with a small amount of elaboration. So,
Mhm. You mean the Danby Town News?
yes.
Thank you, Joel.
Okay. I mean, I just read through it real quick because I couldn't get it from the agenda, but.
The main
Not sure
thrust was
why
actually.
this,
Let's go ahead.
Yeah, I don't know why it just says what does it say? Undirected or something.
yeah, I'm not sure why I created the links by clicking the new external share link. I don't
Either
know.
way, it's there. This one didn't have that much in the actual form itself.
Mhm.
So do we want to go to the part 2 and 3?
Yep.
So I want to emphasize this is a draft for the town board to review. It's the town board's decision on these. I don't think it's worthwhile to read through all of the questions. I think you're familiar with those.
Can you make it a little bigger?
Do you want me to read through them, Joel?
No, why not? And if anybody has any
Well,
feeling that it's anything other than no or small impact, we could speak up as David reads them through.
Sure. Will the proposed action create a material conflict with an adopted land use plan or zoning regulation? Will the proposed action result in a change in the use or intensity of use of land? Will the proposed action impair the character or quality of the existing community? Will the proposed action have an impact on the environmental characteristics that cause the establishment of a critical environmental area? Will the proposed action result in an adverse change in the existing level of traffic or affect existing infrastructure for mass transit, biking, or walking? Will the proposed action cause an increase in the use of energy and it fails to incorporate reasonably available energy conservation and renewable energy opportunities? Will the proposed action impact existing public-private water supplies, public-private water treatment utilities? Will the proposed action impair the character or quality of important historic, archaeological, architectural, or aesthetic resources? Will the proposed action result in an adverse change to natural resources, wetlands, water bodies, groundwater, air quality, flora, or fauna? Will the proposed action result in an increase in the potential for erosion, flooding, or drainage problems? And will the proposed action create a hazard to environmental resources or human health? And then there's a brief 2-sentence addition here. Adoption of the zoning amendment will not allow any construction by right. The addition of light industrial uses makes each project subject to environmental review. The adoption of the zoning change has no environmental impact. And then we need a motion to, if the board agrees with all of those findings, to find that there is no significant adverse environmental impacts from the proposed zoning change.
And I so move.
I can second that.
Trying to give some people an opportunity to jump in there.
Mhm. And I think we can go right to a vote.
Connors.
You're muted.
Aye.
Hunter,
Yes.
Noble,
Yes.
Woodworth,
Yes.
Canyon.
Yes.
One of these days we should dress up as pirates. Arr.
Yeah.
Arr, aye.
Aye.
Well, in the notes, it is a nay or an aye. I mean,
Yeah. So that
Not
brings us
in
to
our in our rules of order. It can
Mhm.
go by yes or no.
but it's in the minutes.
the which brings us to the question at hand, actually, the change, the passing the law itself. Amending the zoning law to make the commercial zone C allowing light industrial uses within it. And that is already, there's a resolution associated there with us, is it not, David?
It's also, it's also to change the, we also want to change the definition of industrial establishment. There
Yes,
are
yes.
Two
So here's,
parts.
here's what we would be doing if by passing this local law, which is yet to be numbered, but we'd be amending local law to add light industry and then change the definition of what an industrial establishment is to take out light industry.
Right.
And take out the exclusion of heavy industry from the definition of industrial establishment.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll move it.
I'll second it.
Okay. Any discussion? Hearing none. Janice?
Connors,
Yes.
Hunter,
Yes.
Noble,
Yes.
Woodworth,
Yes.
Canyon.
Yes.
Now, this is another, this is another one that if we don't, do it obsessively, things get lost.
Mhm.
So, I mean, essentially, I want a new copy of the zoning law with those changes in it. And at least in the past, and David, if you think it shouldn't be done, yell, but when there were changes,
Would you put as amended, yeah.
they were just, amended or revised, and the date right next to the paragraph or the line that was changed. I mean, so we don't lose things.
Yes, so and remember that we also, part of the resolution to adopt the Norbit Solar PDZ was that be appended in the zoning. So that's something that it's very important to me to stay on top of.
Yeah.
And a little bit off topic, but I would just suggest as a matter of habit, we don't need to do this for every zoning update, but I would like to have a habit of once a year when we do a zoning update, having that be an amend and replace. So
Just
that,
fully.
yeah, so
Yeah.
that we never run into issues of questions of what exactly is the zoning. Because whenever you do
Yeah.
a repeal and replace, you have a fresh starting point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
I like that. Is this next one, is this the same situation? I don't think we established ourselves as lead agency for this either, so I'll move that we declare ourselves lead agency for the New York Stretch Energy Code, short environmental assessment form.
That's appropriate, and I'll second it. Shall we vote on that straight away? Janice?
Yes, I was prepared, but then now I'm not.
Mhm.
Hang on.
Yes.
Um, that was Schnabel. And, okay, Connors,
Yes.
Hunter,
Yes.
Schnabel,
Yes.
Woodworth,
Yes.
Gagnon.
Yes. And here we are again with the SEIF.
Seems like it's the same deal.
It is the same deal, where the first question is, does the proposed action only involve legislative adoption of a plan, local law, or ordinance, administrative rule, or regulation, which is yes. So at the end, there is a even shorter narrative description of what we're trying to do and why it doesn't have a negative environmental impact. It's fairly short, so I could read through it if you would like.
Yes,
You
sure,
just
go
wanna
ahead.
look at it. Okay, the town of Danby TownBoard has proposed to implement the New York Stretch Energy Code, which modifies New York State's adopted version of the 2018 International Building Code to require increased energy efficiency. The town board's intention is to reduce energy use in new and renovated buildings, reduce the community environmental impacts, and help avert some of the damaging impacts of climate change. Adoption of a more stringent energy code is not expected to have any moderate to large environmental impacts. The only small impact possible is an increase in the cost of construction in the town. Though it is expected that life cycle energy costs will more than make up for increased construction costs, and a negative impact to affordable housing is not expected. Costs and cost effectiveness of the code have been extensively documented and are incorporated by reference to the residential cost analysis report, commercial cost analysis report, and stringency analysis summary provided by NYSERDA and linked on those documents.
Yes. And then what about parts 2 and 3?
Parts 2 and 3 are there as well in draft form.
And
Which is the same thing we just went over before.
yes. And right,
So no to all of these first questions, and then
right.
here's a little description.
Which is very similar to
What was just read.
Right. So, you want to move a finding of no significant environmental impact?
I'll move that, yeah.
Do you want to second it?
Or Leslie was waiting to do it, but she's still muted.
Okay. Is there any reason why I shouldn't vote? No, go ahead, Janice.
Honors,
Yes.
Hunter,
Yes.
Schnabel,
Yes,
Woodworth,
Yes.
What about me?
Didn't I-
Yes. No, you
Didn't I say
didn't.
Canyon?
Heard it.
Did you? I didn't hear it. Anyway, yes. Now, which brings us to, again, the law, which David did a nice job of filling in the blanks and taking out the red language that was suggested to us by Gina.
I just have it sharing if anybody wanted to see a particular
Yeah.
spot, but
And Jim is here with us, right?
I think I saw him, yeah.
Yeah.
We went back and forth at great long length over whether or not to include the provision on energy recovery ventilation and heat recovery ventilation, which would have been my druthers and Jim's as well to include. But it seems not to have done their homework here and getting the code council on board with this. What the latest intelligence indicates that they are approving the adoption of the stretch code as long as it doesn't include that provision. There are only 2 towns that have asked for it to be included, and there's a fairly good probability that that will be denied. So the path of least resistance here is to approve it without it and just have it be a recommended practice until it becomes part of the code. So the law that we have before us that does that, it proposes increasing the requirements by chapter and verse where we're supplanting one with a more stringent requirement and specifically accepts that provision from inclusion. So I move we adopt local law as specified in the narrative in the beginning of the. I'll say something, David.
Yeah, just that I did have the suggestion of considering the effective date.
Oh, right. If we don't, David's concern was that if we make this effective immediately or upon filing, there's a bunch of projects that are already in process or be in planning stage that might be caught by it, and we don't really want to make them go back and redo in order to come into compliance.
Yeah.
So it might be good to put an effective date that's farther down the road, like September 1st or something. Your thoughts?
Would September 1st be too early? Or is it just more applying to like new building permits or?
Or ones that have already been approved, but the
Construction hasn't started or?
right, or people are in the planning stage that haven't yet submitted their paperwork.
Mhm.
David, do you have an effective date you'd like to see?
I think input that I got from Steve was the end of the year. I think Joel was kind of splitting the difference. He liked August. I don't have a great answer, except that, it takes a while to design a building and there's people who've been designing buildings. So I think the more kind of notice you can give them and make Steve's life better to not be the one who tells them they need to go and redesign their whole building, the better. I don't think that there's a great risk. With a zoning update, we're always concerned about somebody trying to rush something in if you delay the start, but buildings take so long to design. I don't think you're going to have a lot of people, suddenly deciding to build a house in the next, 4 or 5 months, because they know this change is coming. Not saying that's impossible. I suppose it could happen, but Jim, I don't know if that if having a longer effective date would impact the things that you're working on. But it was a concern to me, and that Steve also addressed, that would be awfully difficult for people who, have hired an architect and have designed.
Yeah, I understand. Would
house.
September 1st work, something like that? Give the summer?
Yeah, I don't have anything against that. I don't know, Sarah.
Well, yeah, if it doesn't affect our paperwork for any of the nicer to clean community, or I can't remember exactly what they were calling it.
Community, right?
Yeah, I would probably want to go with December, just because or January 1st is effective, because I don't want to see people having to be redoing things.
Will it impact, Jim, if we?
It should
set
not
the end
impact.
date?
No, it's based on the date we actually do the resolution,
Oh,
not when the
okay.
filing is.
Oh, okay.
So is everybody agreeable with that?
Yeah, December 31st,
January
oh,
1st?
effective January 1st.
Make
So
that change.
it says at the bottom of it, it's effective when it's filed with the secretary, so it can't be forgotten. We're putting it all the way out there.
We're going to file it, but we'll have to put, we'll file it upon passage, but it won't be effective until January 1st.
Well, I read it says as soon as it's filed with the secretary. it's
That's
effective.
that's what we're rewriting it, so it doesn't say that. We're rewriting the document that we approve.
Okay,
So it'll say this local law shall take effect upon or on January 1st, 2023.
Sounds good.
Okay, so let's say, do we already move this?
No, but I'll second it. You moved it and then nobody seconded.
Okay.
I thought that
All right, so now it's moved and seconded with that change.
David had jumped in after he moved it, and then there was no second.
Okay.
okay, so then I'm who go on?
Joel moved it,
And then it was seconded?
and then I seconded just now.
With you, I'm here.
Gotcha.
Ready for a vote?
I think so.
Yes.
Connors,
Aye.
thank you. Hunter,
I,
Novel,
Yes.
King it. Woodworth,
Yes,
Daniel.
Yes.
I haven't given in yet, so.
Haven't given in yet.
All right, next page. All right, the dog law.
Thank you, Jim, for all your work helping us with it.
Yeah, thank you. That's exciting to.
It's
Be
great to
done.
happen. Thank you, guys.
It's, you wouldn't believe how much back and forth there was about that, trying to get it straight. So, let's see. Right.
And then this
Um,
is the resolution and update to the dog law.
Right, but what we really want, a guy provided us with a
Yes.
local law revision. Which is a different,
And I didn't finish formatting it, I'm sorry. But you can pull up, Sarah, if you can pull up the other thing in that folder, the TOF.
Oh, yeah, got it.
blank.
This one?
yes. So this is a discretionary action, so I guess the question for David is, do we need to do any seeker in this? David's still here?
I am still here. I was about to leave. I didn't get out the door soon enough.
Gotta run faster.
Yeah. I think you probably do. I didn't occur to me any exemptions.
The guy prepared this, he didn't mention anything, so he might also have just simply assumed that we knew that we needed to. So we could.
Should we just put this off till next time then?
That's what I'm thinking. Maybe we could defer. We could defer ourselves to the lead agency just right now, though.
Yes.
I'll move that we declare ourselves lead agency.
I'll second that.
Okay. Janice.
Connors,
Yes.
Hunter,
Yes.
Schnabel,
Yes,
Woodworth,
Yes.
Gagnon.
Yes. So deal with it next time. Next up is the Raven Cache easement donation. And David did look into this and discovered it's a type 2 action. And so we don't have to do any environmental review. We can just go ahead and accept the easement. And I trust everybody's had a chance to look at it now. It's been up and available for quite some time. And it's exciting.
yeah, it has a
Okay.
UNA in it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I see Tyler's here, right? Yes.
Was James Stein. Yeah.
There,
Yeah.
right there.
Yeah, this is the culmination of a very nicely drafted easement that blanking on the name.
Brittany?
Brittany, yes, the Brittany worked with
Yeah,
us
I'm here
to
too.
draft. You
There
are.
we go.
Yeah,
With your umbrella.
of course.
Yes. So I I think we're ready to accept this.
Yes.
Somebody
Awesome.
gonna move it?
I'll move that we approve and accept the easement as presented to us.
I'll second that.
Any discussion about that?
Once again, good job.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. Labor of love.
Indeed. So the vote, Janice.
Right, Connors,
Yes.
Hunter,
Yes.
Schnabel,
Yes,
Woodworth,
Yes.
Gagnon.
Yes.
Wahoo.
Yay. Yeah, we should have a ceremony.
Woohoo!
Clink, clink.
Yay. So yeah, we'll need to get together and sign it. I think the signature page has, like, the witnessing requirements, so you can do that and it'll be done.
Awesome. Yeah, just let us know where to be to sign it. I assume there has to be like a notary present or something.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
can Janice do that or no? Because
Yeah, I think so.
I'm just assuming conflict, but no, she has to do stuff for the town all the time,
Yeah,
so that doesn't make
yeah.
any sense.
Yeah. No, I mean, all the notary does is say, yes, this person, I know this person was the person who is represent them to be when they signed it, and I saw him sign it.
Yeah,
Okay.
Oh,
The revisit policy and correspondence and privileges of the floor.
I was supposed to write something up, but I didn't.
I was wondering, like I said, now what are we going to do about that? Because
It was more that I wanted to restructure how it was listed in the agenda template, but it's a small change. I'll just do it next time.
okay, so postpone that. The level of operation. As more and more places open up, do we want to maintain our mask requirement?
Let's see now. Who
I,
just got COVID?
more and more places open up and more people are getting sick, but and
Well, actually,
long,
the numbers are still, well, actually, the numbers aren't declining, are they? No.
anyway. Someday I'll probably be outvoted, but it doesn't
I'm
kill me
just,
to wear a
the
mask.
summer keeps doing this to us for the last 2 years, and it's making me worried.
Yeah.
So it's like,
Even the numbers go down over the summer and then they pick back up in the fall.
yeah, and rather than playing catch up, I don't think it's a big deal. We just need to have masks on hand because people are getting used to not wearing them, so they're not carrying them around as much anymore, which I don't blame people for. So we just need to have some on hand.
And we do actually have a lot of masks.
Yeah.
And we also have a lot of COVID tests.
Yeah.
So if anybody
Oh.
needs a COVID test.
I somehow have managed not to get it yet everyone else in my family has.
Yeah, I don't know how you managed it. And you
know.
sure you didn't get it and just had a mild case and didn't recognize it?
Yeah, because I was taking a test like every day, and so. But
That's what happened here with
fingers
Jack.
crossed. Yeah.
All the
Well,
rest.
I got it. My sister got it. My brother-in-law got it.
And then you went to the same place Fauci went to.
Yes, and we probably both got it in the same place.
Is that it for our agenda then?
Discussion.
If it seems the consensus is to.
Leave
Next-
things
next
alone.
meeting.
Yeah.
The budget transfers.
I have budget transfers, I have the dog law, the policy on correspondence and privilege of the floor, and levels of operation. And yeah.
Okay.
I don't think so. Not directly from here, but there will be others, I'm sure.
I'm sure. There always is, especially toward the end. When you.
So it's seeker and just the regular dog. Do we have to reopen the public hearing? I wouldn't.
No, I don't think so. I
so,
think
but-
you can
okay.
act within a certain period of time after the public hearing.
Gotcha.
So I think we're good, except that we skipped a step.
It's 7:59, people. We did it.
Yes, look at that. And we had eight minutes to spare because we started it.
Oh,
So
yeah,
wait,
yeah.
yeah.
And so
All right.
the state has extended the ability to do this until July.
14.
July 14th. Yeah, they're just
I
doing
think
it
it
month
is.
by month. So
Yeah.
our first meeting will be fine. We'll see about our second
July
one.
14. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you all. Meeting adjourned.
Thanks.
Good night, everyone.
Ready? Good night.
So long, farewell.